If you can't beat them, join them. It's an old saying, but in China, it's a relatively new strategy for motion pictures. There have been previous attempts to create co-productions, mostly martial arts films, and to include Chinese stars like references in Iron Man 3, Pacific Rim, and The Martian. This all leads us to our movie today. The Great Wall represents a new step in co-production. It's written, produced, shot, and designed by Hollywood people, but filmed entirely in China. Except for a few US stars, it's got a complete Chinese cast. The director, Han Mu, is one of the best known and respected in China. Principal photography began on March 30th, 2015 in Qingdao. In addition to the company's 10-week shoot at the huge CFG studios, the production also spent an equal amount of time on location in 3 remote locations. The film was released in China on December 15, 2016, and grossed over $219 million there. The published budget is $135 to $160 million US, but here's one of the real reasons to make it in China. If you look at the purchasing power of the dollar there, that means this film would have cost in excess of $600 million US to make in the US. It's the biggest picture ever shot in China. Now make no mistake, this is a Chinese film first, and intended primarily for the Chinese audience. However, by incorporating a few international stars, it is their attempt to learn from Hollywood. By working with Western story and production talent, they are looking to globalize their own film market, which makes over 800 films per year and is growing. We're going to visit with 2 of the producers, the costume design person, and we have planned a visit with the film's director too. But first, let's take a look at what the Great Wall is all about. 3 Westerners, played by Matt Damon, Pedro Pascal, and Willem Dafoe, have ventured into China in search of black powder. They're motivated by the belief that bringing gunpowder to Europe will make them rich. It is suggested that greed is a trait of all Westerners because of their culture. Westerners are, in fact, quite directly compared to the Tao Te, supernatural monsters in the film. The battle against the Tao Te is both real and spiritual. However, the central plot relationship between Western and Chinese protagonists is romantic in nature, and by the time the film concludes, William has fully come over to Lin's side and completes his character development. The Great Wall's story shares much with films like Dances with Wolves or Avatar, where a Westerner learns to shed his material trappings after experiencing the simpler, more enlightened native philosophy. One of the pleasures of this film is its artistic beauty and detail. One of the people that contributed to that is costume designer Mayes Rubio. Born in Mexico City, she studied fashion and costume design at the Los Angeles Trade Technical College, UCLA, and the Istituto Statale d'Arte in Italy. Mayes has worked in many genres, including drama, science fiction, Western, and contemporary. Notable credits include Apocalypto, Avatar, and Warcraft. Rubio is a member of the Costume Designers Guild, the Art Directors Guild, and the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Let's visit with her and see some of her fantastic work in this film.
The premise of the film is the Western world meeting the Asian world. In my design, I utilize Chinese fabrics, Chinese textiles, Chinese techniques from those times, and also I brought many fabrics from the Western world. The use of the leather was very important. It's almost like a puzzle of pieces of leather that move with the shape of the person and also acts as a defense armor. There were many meetings about colors, philosophy of colors, what colors would combine better, and what would the audience would react to better. They are very important for the filmmaker, who is the master of color. Many of the designs were based on the historical costumes from the time. The challenge was to get 6 regiments from scratch. The director wanted to portray the animal characteristics in a beautiful, sculpted way, especially in their helmets. For every costume, we have about 18 elements to it, and there is a reason for every decoration and ornament in every costume. When we started doing the Imperial Palace, we started making costumes about silk and brocades and beautiful, crazy embroideries. On top of embroidery, we will do more hand embroidery. And then we hand applique metallic coils, semi-precious stones. It's a labor of love. At one point, I had 18 hands on top of the costume. Maybe 90% of my crew was Chinese, and I'm very proud that it was a dream team.
Wow, some truly amazing work, isn't it? One of the main producers on this film is Peter Lair. Peter established China's first independent film company and has produced 9 feature films in Asia. In 2002, he started a new venture focusing on larger-scale Asian-themed pictures for a world audience. In 2005, he became managing director of the Chinese arm of the famous US-based Creative Arts Agency, which has become China's largest and most successful literary and talent agency. In 2012, Peter became CEO of Legendary East, a company focusing on big-budget co-productions with subjects based on Chinese history, mythology, and culture. He is a graduate of the Georgetown University School of Foreign Service with a major in international politics and speaks fluent Mandarin and Japanese. Hi, Peter. With your amazing knowledge of Asian cinema, why Hannah Mu for the director?
I think when we were looking at filmmakers for this film, and it is such a huge, huge film, and it does require so much, and it requires the ability to straddle the cultures and to tell a very Chinese story in a way an international audience will love it. He seemed like a natural choice because he had done that, and he did it with the Olympics, and he took something that was inherently very Chinese and made something that was just truly amazing.
Would you label this as a fantasy film?
It's fantasy, but it's very strongly grounded in reality. So the weapons that are used, the methods that are used, the things that are used to kind of defeat or at least oppose this very, very strong force are all grounded in reality of the period and grounded in the reality of this planet. So it's a reality-grounded fantasy.
Thanks, Peter. I'm sure we can look forward to many more Asian-based films thanks to you. Also a producer for The Great Wall, John Jashny worked as a producer before he began a 10-year stint as president and chief creative officer of Legendary Entertainment. Most recently, he has founded Raintree Ventures, an entertainment investment firm. John, welcome. Thanks for talking with us. What more can you tell us about the director?
It is assumed that when he creates a film that it is going to be possessed of scope, sweep, spectacle, visual signatures that can't be easily replicated, if at all, by anyone else.
Tell us about the Tao Te and what they represent.
What we were able to find written about the Tao Te indicated that they were jade green, if you will, that they were sprung from a mountain made of jade. They also were a reaction to what was perceived to be mounting greed in the culture and in the civilization. So there was a somewhat cautionary aspect to it, in that if we don't keep our eyes on what matters and what counts and what we as a culture celebrate and want to serve, these creatures may come to restore balance.
What was the experience of working in China like?
the Chinese film culture and industry is capable of doing the impossible, and that was part of the cultural exchange. They enabled us to do what we in the West do not do any longer because it has become cost prohibited in many ways. But the ability to have the best of all worlds, and certainly both worlds, China and the West, was really an amazing opportunity for us.
Thanks, John. It's a very brave and perhaps game-changing step you and Peter have taken. Director Han Mu was born in China and began his career there as a cinematographer. He is the first Chinese filmmaker to be recognized with 6 Oscar nominations and 5 Golden Globe nominations. Han also directed the opening and closing ceremonies of the 2008 Beijing Summer Olympic Games, which received considerable acclaim. He speaks little English and had an interpreter on the set. We also have an interpreter for his talk with us. Mr. Han, welcome. What inspired you to make such an epic movie?
首先是这个剧本不是我开发的，是美国人开发的，他们已经开发了7年，然后转到我的手里，已经基本定型了。
Yeah, what inspired me to make such a grand movie? Well, let's see. The story was developed by, a legendary. It's been worked for 7 years before it fell into my hands, before they invited me to direct this. And I got very interested. But, the story's already said that it's fighting monsters on the Great Wall. That concept was already locked. And I found it very unique, so I came on board. And, of course, working with Matt Damon, that's also a great inspiration to make this movie. But then once I got on the board, the movie got bigger because I look at the Great Wall is grand, so you have to make the movie big.
You have directed things as big as the China Olympics, so the scale of the movie was probably not the most important factor. What were you challenged by?
也是唯一的一次吧。
Yeah, this is truly the biggest co-production ever made in Chinese and American history. It has historical significance in both culture and both countries. But to grandness, just scale of the movie is really not that important. I think the most important thing really should be the commonality between two cultures. To find the common goals between the two sides and bring that together. And that's going to be the most important unique things that we can do with this movie.
最要重视的吧。
Shishi, Mr. Imu, you've created a beautiful work of art. The Great Wall gives a lot of insight into the history of China, as well as its people, philosophy, and culture. But things are changing in China. The potential film audience is now roughly equivalent to the entire population of the United States. As the middle class has grown, it has become an $8 billion market. New studios and theaters are being built every day that are turning out even more films, and they are looking for markets beyond their borders. So, just as you will see more Asian stars and movies made here, like the next Star Wars film for example, China will be doing the same, and the Great Wall is a great example of how the wall between cultures may be eroding, and audiences everywhere are becoming a global family. This is Mike for Backstage Movie News. Thanks for watching. See you at the movies. Now, here's the trailer.
We have traveled thousands of miles in search of a weapon more powerful than we've ever known. Came to trade.
You lie. You are thieves.
What was that?
There are many things you have not seen. The Great Wall is the only barrier keeping the world safe. God.
What is it they want?
To feed. They've trained all their lives for this war.
Let me fight with you.
Good luck with that.
Stay and fight.
You think they see you as some kind of hero?
I fought for greed and gods. This is the first war I've seen.